Hi and welcome to this video where I show you my completed coloring pages from March 2026. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Ina. If not, welcome back. In March, I colored 19 pages across 11 books. However, some of these pages were very quick to finish. I'll put the books aside quickly and then we get started. I start with Worlds Within Worlds by Kirby Rosanes. In this book, I colored the page with the flamingos. For the underwater area, I did an underpainting with a blue watercolor, and then went over it with my Castle Art soft touch pencils. For the sky, I used water-soluble wax crayons from Herlitz and Jackson. For the flamingos and the greenery, I also used the soft touch pencils. And then I used some glitter gel pens for the dinosaur, the fish, and a white sakura for the highlights. And also a Posca marker for the lines on the water and the bubbles. This page was a group body color with our Kirby group, but not everyone has finished yet. So you'll probably see the completed pages from the others on my Instagram. Feel free to follow me there. Or perhaps I show them in the next month's completed pages video. Okay, that was Worlds Within Worlds by Kirby Rosanes. Next up is Kleine Wunderwelten or Small Victories by Joanna Basford. In this book I colored a few pages, including some for the Tackle the Title Pages hashtag. I start at the beginning with these two pages. As I said, they were very quick to finish. For them I used the Castle Arts gold pencils, a water-soluble wax crayon from Herlitz for the background, and some gel pens for details. The next page I colored is the Spring Wreath. Here. For this page I also used the Castle Arts gold pencils. Then for the background I used some Castle Arts watercolor pencils and again some gel pens for details and to cover the lines from the white flowers. Then I colored these two pages. The first one was the one with the narwhal. And then I used the same colors on the other page. On the page with the whale, I first did a bit of basing with Ecoline brush markers and Castle Arts watercolor pencils. And then I colored it with Castle Arts soft touch and harmonious pencils. As I mentioned, I used the same pencils on this side. as well as some gel pens for details. And for the fish, the horn and the shell, I used a metallic watercolor in pink. The page with the narwhal was a body color with Caitlin and Felicia. And now I show you their pages. They turned out completely different from each other. And as you can see, I completely added the sky inside the dome. It wasn't there originally. So thank you Kathleen and Felicia for the body color. That was Small Victories by Joanna Basford. Next we move on to Morgenthau or Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. In this book I colored a page for the fairy tale hashtag. This one here with the vegetables. For the fairy tale, the enormous turnip. For this colorful spring-like background, I used the watercolor pencils from Castle Arts. And to color the page, I used mostly the soft touch pencils, along with 2 pencils from the Harmonious set for the inside of the bean pot. If you would like to see how I colored this page, there's a video about that on my channel. I also colored another page in this book and even a double page spread. This one here, because alongside the vegetable prompt, there was also a watering can prompt for the fairy tale hashtag. So I colored this double page where the flowers grow out of the watering can and the little bird. For coloring the flowers, the watering can and the bird, I used the Castle Art soft touch pencils. For the background, I used the water-soluble wax crayons from Jackson. And then I created this border with a stencil and soft pastels. I was a bit worried that this pattern might distract too much from the main image. So I tried to use a color that didn't contrast too strongly with the background, to keep it subtle. For the inside of the blossoms, I used a golden Pentel Hybrid gel pen. And for the white highlights in the eye and on the watering can, I used a Posca marker. As you can see, this book is unfortunately starting to fall apart a little, as it's only glue bound rather than stitch bound. I hope it holds up a bit longer. If necessary, I'll have to put the pages into a binder. They should fit well into A4 plastic sleeves, so I wouldn't even need to punch holes in them. So it wouldn't be too bad. Okay, that was Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. In March, I completed 3 double-page spreads, and the second one is in Fragile World by Kirby Rosanes. This double page with a crocodile. I colored this double page spread for the hashtag The Wild Year of Color 26. And I have to say, this is truly one of my favorite pages of the month. For the water and the background, I again used water-soluble wax crayons from Jackson and Herlitz. And for the base layer of the larger objects, I used the Castle Arts watercolor pencils. Then I colored the entire page with the soft touch pencils. And for the lines on the water and the bubbles, I used my white Posca marker. For the highlights in the animal's eyes, I used the white gel pen from Sakura, and then I used metallic watercolors for the dragonfly. Even though there were a lot of plants, and I first had to figure out which plant was which and where each one began, it was ultimately a lot of fun to color these 2 pages. That was Fragile World by Kirby Rosenes. Next, let's move on to my project books. In Seasons by Hannah Carlson, I colored the beginning of the spring section. For the background, I used soft pastels, and then again my Castle Art soft touch pencils. For the highlights, I used a white gel pen, a silver gel pen, and a metallic pink gel pen. My plan is to continue the background to the other page this month. Maybe you can see that I didn't tape off the middle, because I knew I would extend the background to the other page. And for coloring the page, I will also use mostly the same colors as on the left one. That was Seasons by Hannah Carlson. The next project book is Bulipa by Diane Dufour. In this book, I worked on the page for the corresponding hashtag, which is the page with the guinea pigs. First, I based the entire page with Castle Arts watercolor pencils and left the sky as it was. Then I went over with the soft touch pencils. And for the first time, I really tried to draw a fur texture. Then I used the orange glitter gel pen for the middle of the flowers and my white Posca marker for the highlights in the eyes and the clouds. These small pages are always a lot of fun to do in between. Okay, that was Boule de Pois by Diane Dufour. Next we move on to my third project book, Ivy und der magische Schmetterling, or Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Joanna Basford. This is my third double-page spread for March, the one with all the flowers. As with the previous pages, I used a mix of Castle Art, Soft Touch and Harmonious pencils. And for the background, I used soft pastels. For the inside of the flowers, I used various Decotime glitter markers. The glitter is more visible in some spots than in others. And I also used a white gel pen for the highlights on the ink drops. I'm really happy with how far I come with this book already, and I'm excited about all the pages that are still to come, as well as how the story develops and the motives changes along the way. That was Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Joanna Basford. Then I have another book by Joanna Basford, Magische Reise or Magical Worlds, and I colored my first page in this book. This page here with the castle and the pond in the foreground. I colored this page only with watercolors, plus a Posca marker and a bit of gel pen, but no colored pencils. If you want to see how I did it, there are 2 videos about this on my channel. Considering that this is my first page colored only with watercolors, I'm really happy with how I managed to do all the shading. The paper in the German edition is unfortunately not the best for watercolors. As you can see, in some spots the color bleed through slightly. And in general, the water roughened up the paper, which caused some spots, which you can see here in the little areas. However, if you use very little water, it still works well with watercolors. That was Magical Words by Joanna Basford. Then I colored a page in Meine Reise durch Asien by Rita Beermann. I colored this page here with the bento box. For the background, I used water-soluble wax crayons from Herlitz and Jackson, as well as a golden watercolor paint. I colored the rest of the page with the Castle Arts gold pencils, because they work really good in Rita Beermann's books. I also added some metallic and glitter details with gel pens. And I used a white gel pen from Sakura for some highlights. My plan is to repeat the background on the other page. I think it will create a very harmonious spread. This page was a body color with Selena Moonlight, and I show you her version here. Her page is a bit more desaturated than mine, and I really like her color choices. Some elements turned out quite similar, while others are completely different. That's what I enjoy so much about body colors. Seeing how the pages can either turn out by chance very similar or completely different. It's also fun to see how we both perceived certain foods differently and colored them accordingly in different colors. Okay, that was Meine Reise durch Asien by Rita Berman. Then I have another book where I colored my first page in. Mythographic Labyrinth by Joseph Cattenbang. In this book I colored the page where the sea splits above the labyrinth. I thought the big fish in the background looked like statues, so I colored them gray with a bit of moss or algae growth on them. In general, I colored this page only with watercolor pencils and activated them. And I didn't use any regular colored pencils. Then I use a bit of Posca marker for the foam on the waves, a golden gel pen for the arches on the building in the back, and some metallic watercolors on the fish to give them a little bit of a shine. I really enjoyed coloring this page only with watercolor pencils. And maybe I do that more often in this book. Let's see. That was Mythographic Labyrinth by Joseph Cattenbang. And the last book is also new. And I colored my first page in it as well. Unfortunately, this book has no title. It's from Woolworth, and as you can see, it was reduced to €1.50. So I just had to pick it up. As you can already see on the cover with the brushes, it's quite suitable for watercolors. Unfortunately, there's nowhere in the book that says who the pages are by. But I did a reverse Google image search for the picture I colored and found out it's a stock image. So I assume the other pages are all stock images as well. I colored this rabbit here with the roses and the butterfly. And once again, I mostly used just watercolors. In the background, I simply tested how well the paper handles water. And it worked really well. When I wet the page, the paper didn't immediately soak up the water like a sponge, as it did in Magical Worlds. But instead, the water stayed nicely on the surface, and I could dab color into it, letting it flow and spread. Perhaps I went a bit wild with the background and experimented a little too much, but overall, I'm quite satisfied with it. Since the line work isn't black, but rather gray and matte, I used colored pencils for the eyes to give them a bit more shine and depth. Then I used gel pens for the highlights in the eyes and for the details on the butterfly. For watercolors, I just use a standard school paint set from Pelikan, which is why the colors are a bit matte. Okay, those were all the pages I colored in March. And my favorites are definitely the crocodile pages in Fragile World. The page in Mythographic Labyrinth, and somehow I also really like how the watering can with the flowers come out. Which page did you like the best? Feel free to write it in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye and see you next time.